Well, Happy New Year, everyone! At least those of you who weren't killed by whatever version of the virus we're at now. The holidays are over, so I figure I can ring in the new year and bring some hope into the world of animation by talking about what I'm most excited for in animation for 2022. I'm sure I'm excited to see these at the times they're stated to come out. No delays or changes at all. As previously covered in my How Not to End Your Series vid, the Boondocks is one of the most influential series on Adult Swim, where I was able to tell great stories and handle certain issues with its own brand of wit and charm. But when airing up the show before the production of the fourth and final season, it led to the show taking the biggest dip in quality it faced at the time. There was a notable difference about everything was, and the show was a show of its former self with none of the charm, wit, and intelligence that made the first 3 seasons work. And at the time, there was a thought of this being the only lasting image of the show. Well, thankfully, it isn't. In 2019, it was announced that there will be a Boondocks revival with 2 new seasons on HBO Max, and Aaron McGruder will be involved once again, along with the original cast returning, with hopefully enough of John Witherspoon's involvement before he passed away. The Boondocks is a revival that can work, not only because of the timelessness that it has attached to it, but because of how we as America can't keep our shit together for 5 minutes. Updates for the revival have been in limbo for a few years given the ongoing pandemic, but it looks like we're finally going to aim for a late 2022 release. The Boondocks deserves another chance to shine and go on a high note, and with everything that's happened since it's been off air, there is certainly a lot to talk about to make up for lost time. The Proud Family was a huge part of my childhood, and it was an integral cartoon for me at the time. A cartoon sitcom about a family going through life while offering funny, relatable, and at serious points important stories really resonated with me, and it showed that there is an audience for these types of shows. I feel over the years there's been a slow but growing fan base for the show that perfectly blends the early 2000s kids who've seen it and current generation kids who are just now seeing it and understanding the impact it truly left. So I feel because this blend of fans, as well as the ever-growing interest in it, that some sort of comeback would happen. And I was right. Now understand, I hate revivals nowadays because it usually brings back something that already ended on a high note just because there's interest in it that is, for the most part, on borrowed time. But I can honestly say that for the Proud Family, I definitely want to see another go-around, especially if it's something where the characters are aged up and we see what their lives are years later. And you know what? That's what the Proud Family Louder and Prouder is doing. It'll be interesting to see where these characters are again all these years later and see how they've changed. It'll also be something to see how they can talk about important issues like in the original series. Hopefully, Proud Family Louder and Prouder will be a respectful comeback to Disney's most memorable family and most memorable show. Okay, I'm gonna get this out of the way. I've never played Cuphead. Let me finish, but I can't deny the game looks pretty damn fun. The old school animation feel that the setting and characters have, and the clever gameplay that I've seen is really interesting to me, and at the time, it really made me wonder that along with the game, what else can be done with this idea? And Netflix answered that with the announcement of the Cuphead show. Nothing too much revealed with over 3 years of development since the announcement. All we do know is that it will explore the main characters of Cuphead outside the environment of the video game, with enough to pull in both kids and adults. And after the first trailer dropped, it really made me more interested with the show, as it really goes all about being a callback/tribute to old school Looney Tunes and animation in general. It'll be interesting to see how this show will work in order to bring in that blend of kid and adult audience together, but I do know given cartoons today, that this won't be something that's impossible. And if we're lucky enough, this show will be able to break away from the video game adaptation curse. Only time will tell if that's the case, so I'll be checking it out. Amazon is really stepping up their animation game. With the runaway success of Invincible, it made sense to continue down this track of adult animation with The Legend of Vox Machina. I never heard of this or played Dungeons & Dragons, but I can't help but feel that this will be a show that whether you know the source material or not, anyone can watch. From what I can gather, this shows your basic group of misfits tasked with challenges, which, thanks to James Gunn and his contributions in part to Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad, is a trope that I feel is evolving for the better and will really give a chance for the right people to shine. I feel the show will have the right mix of humor and serious storytelling that will be tied together in part to the cast they have lined up for it. It will also be interesting to watch given that this show is based on a separate web series of people just playing Dungeons & Dragons. It'll be like if Team 4 Star made a show thanks to their fan dubs. That alone is enough to get my attention. So in short, I'll check it out. It looks like it won't take itself as seriously and will make way for character moments and interactions to be the main highlight, as well as the animation and the action playing key to the show as well. So I'll check it out. A show like Bob's Burgers is a breath of fresh air when it comes to the typical Fox family sitcom. Not too outrageous like Family Guy or overseeing no welcome like The Simpsons. Bob's Burgers found that perfect balance of being relevant and out there in what it can do. Who knew a series about a family running a restaurant can be as long as 12 seasons and not slow down in terms of quality? And it's because of that, as well as the large fan base that it has, that a movie will be a given, and they're going to give it to us this year. The Bob's Burger movie is what I feel we as fans have been promised with for years now, as a thank you for supporting the show. The show as a whole managed to attach such a large fan base for what it is, that a movie is the next step for it. A larger story only big enough for the big screen, while also hopefully containing that charm that makes the show work already. As a fan, I'm excited to see something like this in the movies, and as an animation fan, I'm excited to see 2D animated films making a comeback. Two separate mediums coming together to hopefully make one amazing experience. Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse is without a doubt one of the best animated outings that the character of Spider-Man has ever had, and all these years later, people are still webbing themselves in their pants with giving this movie all the praise it deserves. And with that positive reception and the money that it made as a result, a sequel was a given, and this year we'll be getting that, and it's going to be even bigger than before. Across the Spider-Verse doesn't have too much information attached to it, aside from the fact that it will be a two-part movie about Miles going into the multiverse. And given how No Way Home really know the multiverse right on the head, I'm excited to see what they can do here. As always, the animation looks real slick and smooth, and I have hope that we'll be getting more creative designs when we travel through different universes. I also have a small shred of hope that there will be an MCU connection given the little mention they give in No Way Home. But in the end, Across the Spider-Verse looks like it's going to be even bigger than the last movie, and I'm here for it. It's the end of an era here. Attack on Titan is back for part 2 of its final season. Attack on Titan is without a doubt one of the most influential animes of the 2010s, and it certainly helped me break out of my anime bubble of shows like Pokemon. It really pushed me to more mature anime. And over the years, seeing this show grow in both the scale that it has and the fans it can attract has been a really eye-opening thing for me to see. And for what I've seen in part 1, we're only just beginning to see what the final act is leading up to. I've been binge watching the last few seasons again to get myself ready for the final season, and the show legit gets better episode to episode. That's insane. I do know what happens at the end of the manga, but I have a feeling that there might be some changes down the line to give the anime a unique enough ending to cap off almost 10 years of this. So with that, I'll be watching the final season with a bittersweet in my eyes. It's a show that brought me back into the hellscape of being an anime watcher, and made me invested the whole way through. There will never be another show like Attack on Titan, because it wasn't just a show, it was an era. And when this show ends, that era ends too. But we won't forget it. I'm scared, but excited, and that's what I'm gonna watch.